Hey everyone, and welcome. I am so thrilled to have you here for another explainer. Today, we're unraveling a narrative that is honestly going to stick with you for a while. We are diving deep into the terrifying truth of cursed objects. We're going to break down a fascinating, deeply unsettling account from our source material that honestly plays out like a literal cinematic nightmare. So let's just get right into it and dissect exactly how a seemingly ordinary situation can just spiral into pure supernatural terror. Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to think about a core psychological question for a second. Can a simple book, just, a compilation of paper and binding, actually harbor malevolence? Can it truly be evil? Well, as we'll see from the terrifying data points in our source story today, an object isn't always just an object. Sometimes it's a dormant trap, literally just sitting there, waiting for a single unsuspecting person to spring it. So let's establish our setting. Picture this in your head. A small, isolated wooden house situated just outside a tiny town in New Zealand. It's totally surrounded by dense, towering pine forests, rolling hills, and this deep, dark lake right behind the property. This home belonged to an elderly man named Richard. It's the quintessential remote, peaceful cabin getaway, or, well, at least that's exactly what it was supposed to be. Yeah, that piece definitely did not last. One day, a postman arrives to find the house wide open. No Richard anywhere. The property is completely abandoned. The police drag the nearby lake, they scour the pine forest, but they find absolutely nothing. Eventually, Richard is officially declared dead, and this tragic news triggers the arrival of his 25-year-old granddaughter, Mia. She travels all the way from Los Angeles with a very straightforward plan, right? Just clean up the property, sort through the documents, sell the house, and go back home. Which brings us to Section 1, the artifact, and its discovery in the shadows. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is what Mia actually finds. She spends her entire first day cleaning until only the garage is left. And out there, among the old fishing gear and wooden crates, hidden behind the very last iron shelf, she uncovers this thick bundle wrapped super tight in black cloth. She unwraps it to reveal an ancient book, but its physical anomalies are immediately unsettling. I mean, the cover isn't normal binding. It's stitched together from these strange, mismatched patches of leather. Right in the center is a bizarre circular symbol filled with the design of tangled tree roots. And, get this, hidden within those roots is a terrifying, haunting face. It's an object clearly designed to induce dread before you even open it. And guys, the inside is somehow even worse. Mia opens the first page to find text written in this deep, dark red ink. The margins are absolutely filled with horrifying illustrations, upside-down trees, monsters with long teeth emerging from fog, and, most unsettling of all, symbols of eyes that literally give the illusion they are staring right back at the reader from inside the paper. As Mia looks at the text, she finds herself involuntarily reading the strange words out loud. And the exact second the final word leaves her lips, she feels a searing, intense burn in the fingers of her right hand and violently snaps the book shut. That leads us right into Section 2, the activation. A single spoken word. Because Mia's involuntary recitation, it just acted as a supernatural detonator. Let's move to the timeline and see how this builds, because the escalation is immediate. Literally within 1 second, Mia's fingers are burning. By minute 1, the daylight vanishes and the sky abruptly turns pitch black. By minute 2, unnatural, fierce winds are violently bending the pine trees and churning wild waves in the normally calm lake. And by minute 5, a massive, ominous flock of black crows begins circling the farmhouse. The environment is reacting instantly and aggressively to this awakened artifact. Terrified, Mia wraps the book back in the black cloth, jams it behind the shelf, and retreats upstairs. And suddenly, outside, the weather normalizes. The sky clears, the lake calms down, the crows vanish. But the physical toll on Mia remains. She looks at her right hand to find a dark black line between her fingers. But it doesn't look like a burn. It looks like tree roots, actively spreading beneath her skin. Exhausted and completely terrified, she collapses into a deep sleep. Now, before we see what happens when Mia wakes up, let's take a quick second to define exactly what we are dealing with here. Our source draws a fascinating parallel to the cinematic universe, specifically the upcoming film Evil Dead Rise. In that narrative, a character named Alice finds a similar Book of the Dead and awakens an ancient demonic entity, which is a bloodthirsty soul bound to an object that slowly turns a home into a living hell once awakened. As we're about to see, this definition perfectly frames the absolute nightmare Mia has just unleashed. All right, moving into Section 3, the confrontation. The return, and the possession. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer shock of what happens next. Mia's sleep is abruptly shattered by a desperate scream from downstairs. She creeps into the drawing room, and there is the cursed book, sitting right on the dining table. And sitting next to it, her grandfather, Richard, the man who was declared dead. But the loving grandfather she knew is completely gone. Now he is emaciated, wearing filthy, muddy clothes, with deep, dark circles under his terrified eyes. The man is completely broken.
Mia frantically tries to calm him down, getting him water as he nervously scans every single corner of the room. Finally, he reveals his tragic descent to her. Step 1, he actually found this hidden book years ago. Step 2, opening it caused him to hear whispers and see horrifying faces that morphed into his loved ones. Step 3, realizing an ancient entity was haunting him, he faked his own disappearance and fled to hide in the old cabins by the lake. But step 4, when he saw the black sky and the flock of crows that evening, he knew exactly what Mia had done, and he came back to try and save her.
So, the crucial point is, Richard is far too late. As he's speaking, his eyes dart to the kitchen window. Mia follows his gaze into the dark woods and sees a girl standing there with a horrifyingly burned face. It sends an absolute chill to her core. But the ultimate terror sets in when she realizes it's not some stranger out in the woods. It's a reflection. The burned girl is herself.
And that's when the final assault begins. Richard's face contorts, the veins in his neck bulge and turn pitch black, and his eyes roll back until they are completely white. He is fully possessed now. The supernatural activity just explodes. The cursed book on the table opens itself, pages violently turning with zero wind. Those strange circular symbols from the cover begin appearing organically all over the wooden walls. The cold ashes in the fireplace spontaneously ignite into a roaring fire. Mia tries to grab the book to shut it, but her hands burn so intensely it feels like she's holding hot coals, and those black root symbols begin etching even further into her skin. Meanwhile, the possessed Richard grabs a burning candle stand from the table. The hot wax is actively melting and pouring all over his bare flesh, but he doesn't make a sound. He just stalks toward Mia, ready to strike. Which brings us to our final section, the takeaway, the indestructible evil. In a desperate bid to survive, Mia dodges the heavy candle stand and violently pushes Richard away. He crashes into the wall, and the burning candle stand ignites the house curtains. Within seconds, you guys, the entire wooden cabin is engulfed in an absolute inferno. Richard perishes in the flames immediately. Mia tries to escape through the kitchen window, right where she saw her burned reflection, but she is trapped by the fire. The fire brigade arrives way too late. The police eventually recover 2 deeply burned bodies from the ashes, and the entire house is completely leveled. But right there, sitting in the absolute center of the smoldering ruins, on the remains of the dining table, is the Book of the Dead, completely untouched, without a single scratch on it. Which leaves us with this chilling final thought. If an inferno that literally melts a house to the ground can't destroy this artifact, are these ancient entities ever truly defeated? Or are they simply sitting in the ashes, patiently waiting for the next pair of hands to unwrap the black cloth and the next voice to read their words aloud? Now, if this explainer on cursed books, mind-bending supernatural horror, and non-stop terrifying escalation captured your imagination, our source material highly recommends experiencing this dread on the big screen. The cinematic parallel we discussed earlier, Evil Dead Rise, is releasing exclusively in theaters on July 10th. It's an absolutely perfect continuation for anyone fascinated by the indestructible evil we've explored today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes open for things hidden in the shadows, and I'll catch you guys next time.